What's up, amigos? It's the Prodigy Maker Show, episode 84. It's Chris Lewit, top American junior coach. Today, I want to talk about how to develop a champion, how to develop your player to the maximum, whether you're a coach or a parent or you're a player yourself. This could be for you yourself if you're a player. But basically, I see a lot of kids who they want to know how to get better, and I see some major structural issues with the players that I coach. So I just did a lesson recently here at the club in Manchester, Vermont. Have my high performance academy here. You're all welcome to come train with me. I have players from around the country and around the world coming to train with me here in Manchester, Vermont. And one of the things I see a lot is players will come to me and they want to know like my magic. They want to know the secret sauce. They want to know, they want me to be the guru to save them, to fix something, to give them the secret of developing themselves to the optimal level. And it's it's frustrating sometimes for me. It's a tough thing for me to see a kid. They come, they're a great kid, they're willing to work hard, but then they tell me about the structure of their training, and they have some major holes in the structure of their training. And what I mean by that, and the way I like to describe it to parents and students and any coaches who visit as well, is that you need to have three primary things, three things. And that's sort of the way I try to describe it to when I'm having this conversation with mom or dad or with a player. And those three things are: you got to have good coaching. You have to have a powerful, motivating, smart, passionate, inspirational coach in your corner to help drive you and push you. So that's one thing. And this could be for adults too, because I know a lot of adults like the show. They follow the podcast, they follow the YouTube channel. That is so critical, to have a coach in your corner helping guide you, helping to push you, basically the guru. So that makes sense to a lot of people. You need to have a guru that you can go to, an expert who can help guide and motivate and inspire you. Because especially in junior development, I'm primarily a high performance junior coach. I do work with serious adults from time to time, but you know, my main work every day is on the court with juniors and trying to optimize their development. And you need you need help. You know, it's a long road. It's usually not an easy road to become a tennis champion. It's a daunting task. It can be overwhelming at times, not only for the player, but also for the parent who's trying to run the show or trying to help their kid along, help their kid with the big dream. Becoming an expert at tennis, mastering tennis, is not an easy road, and it's a long, tough journey. So having a coach obviously makes sense, right? Having a coach who can inspire you, guide you, help you with any technical formation that you need, especially if you need technical work, to have a coach who has a really good technical eye to help guide you, that's important too. Hey, thanks for joining the show. If you have any questions about tennis or technical development, this is a live show today. We haven't done a live show in a few weeks, maybe a month or two, so I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thanks for joining in. But you need coaching. Very rarely can a player make it without a coach. All right, so what's the second thing that you need? And structurally, just structurally, you got to get. I have this model, this framework that I talk about. It's a triangle, and you have the coaching, one part of the triangle, and the other part of the triangle is you have your training, and then the other point of the triangle is your competition. So you have just coaching, training, competition. And I'll explain what I mean, but if you don't have that structure, you're not going to optimize your development. You're not going to optimize your performance. You're not going to outperform. You're not going to be the best player you can be. So if you're a parent, you got to get that triangle right. If you're a coach, you need to make sure that triangle's in place. And that's sort of what I'm alluding to. I see players all the time. They come to visit. Maybe they come for a week. Maybe they come for a month. Maybe they come just for a weekend. And I'm supposed to be the guru to show them the secrets. And a lot of times I end up having this conversation that I'm having with you guys. And it's about this triangle. And I ask players, how often do you train? What's your training like? Oh, I play a couple times a week in a group, in a clinic. If I hear the word clinic, that's usually a red sign, red flag, danger sign, because clinics usually mean kind of like a country club place, call them clinic, groups. I don't really like groups that much. It's a whole, we can talk about what makes a high quality. I've done a lot of podcasts on what makes a high quality training, what makes a high quality coach, and what makes good competition. I have a very popular podcast, um, not if you look back on our podcast archives in our playlist on the channel or on the if you go to the podcast itself, we have all these shows on the YouTube channel, but they're also in podcast format for audio. But basically, we have shows where I talk about the optimal tournaments, how many tournaments to play, and we talk in detail about that. We should do some other shows on that probably soon. But you have your training. How do you get optimal training? I have a good show where I talk about private training versus group training, which is a very common question that I get asked. But getting back to the triangle, man. Triangle. Coaching. You need a guru, someone in your corner. Training. You can't train twice a week. Impossible. I just had a kid here visiting. Really great kid. Super athletic, great DNA. And he's telling me he doesn't have a place to practice this winter, but he wants to play college tennis. This is a high school kid, high school freshman. Come on, man. I don't have the secret or the magic to help a player who's not able to practice. I can guide and motivate the player. I can give them all the secrets of world-class technique. We can do the video analysis. We can give them the best possible game plan, tactics, strategy, everything. But a player needs to have good quality training. And that training, and I've been saying this a lot, should be pretty much every day. Daily training. That's 6 days a week for most serious players. I have a lot of kids come to me, or adults, and they have 1 or 2 practices a week. Maybe they go play a tournament, and that's it. That's not enough to become an elite player. That's not enough to optimize your development. You need to play preferably on a daily basis, hitting tennis balls on a daily basis. That's how you get really good at tennis, because as I say all the time, tennis is a game of rhythm and timing. So you got to get out there and hit balls daily. It's like a routine that becomes part of your life, sinks into your DNA, and just hitting the ball daily and moving and flowing on the court becomes part of your DNA structure, becomes natural, and you never want to lose that feeling. You should be hungry for that feeling. It's like an addiction. And that's what it's like to be a pro, to be a professional player. I didn't play on the ATP tour, but I was able to make low-level pro circuit, and I got a taste of that, playing every day and feeling the ball really well. It's an awesome feeling. But I think majority of adults, juniors, never even get close to that feeling, simply because of the structure of their week, the structure of their training. Train once or twice a week. You never find a rhythm. You play groups with players who are erratic, or players who are too good or not good enough, and you never find a good rhythm. You don't get private instruction to help you with specifics that you need to hit the ball better, whether it's hitting a better serve, hitting a better ground strokes, footwork and movement. If you don't get that private instruction and you only do clinics, your technique for sure is going to suffer. There's going to be big holes in your game for most people, unless you're just off the charts gifted and you can just learn through osmosis. You need the private instruction to help. You can do some groups, but you really need that. I'm a big believer in one-on-one coaching, where the player and the coach develop this very close-knit relationship, and the coach is 100% dedicated to the benefit of the player, focusing on the player in detail on a regular basis. I think there's a lot of growth that happens for a player when they have a coach relationship like that. Sometimes just the relationship, the positive relationship, is super healthy for a kid or an adult, and that can spur growth. But just getting good advice on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, getting good cleaning, having a coach cleaning your game all the time, especially technically and with footwork, is super, super important. So if you just do clinics, if you just do groups, you just never get that, because even the greatest coach in the world, their attention is split in a group between a number of different players. So I'm not saying you never do groups, but most of the time, in terms of group training, and the training part of the triangle, I see major, major problems. Bad groups, too many groups, not enough one-on-one. One-on-one hitting is huge too. Hitting one-on-one with a college player is incredibly valuable. Much better than in a group of 3, 4, 5 kids. In Spain, when they do a group, quote unquote, I'm making air quotes if you're listening to the podcast, in Spain, a group is 2 players on a court with a coach. So it's basically a semi-private. That's the way to do it. Personal attention. You have a coach, his mind is divided maybe between 2 players. At the maximum, 3 players. And even that sometimes is a lot, but 3 players with a coach, good. 2 players with a coach, better. 1 player, 1 coach, optimal. Because the coach can give everything, all of the coach's passion, focus, commitment, energy to that 1 player. There's just nothing like that. And that will optimize and supercharge development. So training needs to be almost daily, and it needs to be high intensity training. It can't be bad hitting, it can't be erratic hitting. You can't play with someone who misses a lot of balls, or you won't get a good workout. You won't get a good rhythm. You have to be hungry like a drug addict for the rhythm, the rally, the timing, the rhythm of the game, the sound of the ball back and forth. All of that you have to have a hunger and passion for, and you need it like an addiction every day. And sometimes you want to play 7 days a week, but you might be forced to take a day off just to give your physical body a rest. But your mind should want it on a daily basis. You need the rhythm. You get your eyes adjusted to the incoming ball. You get your body in a nice flow. And that's how you become a really good tennis player. When you put together weeks like that, week after week after week, you can become an elite player. Year over year, you can become an elite player over time, kind of like a snowball building. But most players structurally have major, major problems. They have 2 days a week, bad groups, 3 days a week, 2 privates, 1 private, 2 groups a week. That's very common here in the Northeast. You see a lot of clubs. You take 2 groups a week, 1 private. That's a great recipe for mediocrity. If you have a player doing that, no offense, but you're going to have mediocre results. If you take 3 privates, 2 groups, and 1 day hitting one-on-one with a college player, you're going to get better a lot faster. You're going to optimize your development. 2 sessions one-on-one with a college player, 2 world-class one-on-one lessons, 2 groups. Much, much more optimal. You're going to see much, much better development that way. But that's just one part of the triangle. Because the third part of the triangle is the competition. Many times, players are not competing. They are maybe doing some groups. They are maybe taking the lesson, but they don't compete a lot. They maybe avoid competition, or maybe they're too busy to get to the tournament, or maybe their parents don't want to drive them, or maybe they want to hang out with their friends on the weekend, or whatever it is. You're not going to optimize your development if you're missing that part of the triangle either. So it's like you got to have all of it. And in my experience, the players who have all of that, whether you're an adult or a junior, you supercharge your development. You get a synergy, and like the end result is more than the sum of the parts. Like when you mix those together, there's this tremendous synergy that happens for the player. And if you can keep that going over the course of time, that player is going to go rise faster and higher than the players who are missing some parts of that triangle. So I have this talk with many, many parents, many players, and with coaches. If you're a coach, we have a lot of coaches who like this channel. What we have a question: longer hitting sessions, like 3 hours. In winter, we only have that possibility. 3 hours hitting session, do it. We have 3-hour practices here all the time. At my club here, we have 3-hour hitting sessions. You hit with an 11-year-old, is you saying, is that a good session for you or a good session for the 11-year-old? Let me know what you mean. We had a question from Andreas. Thanks, buddy. 3-hour session is good, but sometimes with younger ones, you need to take little breaks in between. So we do 3-hour high performance session, small group with me, but a lot of times like halfway through, if the kids are young, usually I give them like a little snack break so that they can refuel, and that makes the quality a bit better. After 2 hours, especially with young kids, they can kind of peter out a little bit. So if it's a long 3-hour, 3.5-hour session, you put it into one session, and you're not going to split it up into 2 sessions. I tried to give them a little bit of rest, a little bit of snack and rehydration, and that helps with the energy and the focus. But yeah, you can definitely train 3 hours, absolutely. So getting back to the competition, major red flags, danger zones in the competition area. Like some kids don't play any tournaments. Like they take the whole winter, no tournaments, and then they expect to show up for the spring high school season and play great. I had that talk with a few students recently. I said, dudes, you're kidding yourselves. You're not going to be able to play good high school tennis in the spring if you don't compete this winter. You have to compete. It's part of the formula. You have to train more than once or twice per week. That's part of the formula. And it would behoove you to get some good coaching. Again, the triangle. Simplest way to understand tennis development right here. Simple triangle model, triangle concept. Parents need to make sure the kids have it. Coaches need to make sure their players have all of that. Competition. 2-3 times per month. It's a pretty good rule of thumb. Sometimes you go big, go 4 every weekend, 4 times per month. Sometimes you back off a little, once or twice per month. Maybe you're working on something technical, but you got to compete. If you're pulling back from tournaments, you can compete a lot on the practice court. You can set up a lot of set play, match play at home to try to supplement or to take to complement going to the tournaments. But you need a lot of matches, a lot of competition, and the competition has to be high level. You need to push in the competition to go to challenge the player. If the player has matches that are too easy, then that's no good. At the same time, you need a nice balance, because if you only play like very high level tournaments, sometimes the players stagnate because they need to feel pressure playing people that are worse than them. So it's a balance, but you need to compete a lot and get a lot of matches under your belt. If you just hit training, this part of the triangle, and if you just take lessons, even if they're the best lessons in the world, like with me, you take the best private lesson in the world, which I advertise, you are going to be underperforming without competition. You might be hitting the ball well, you might have really beautiful technique, but I'll be the first to tell you, you're not a player. You're only a player when you compete. You go and prove in the tournament that you can do it all there under pressure. So this is like fake tennis. If you take privates, best private lessons in the world, best training, you're training like an animal, but you don't compete, big hole in your game. You're not really a proven player. On the flip side, I see players who play a lot of tournaments. They're very tournament tough. In that respect, they compete very well. So that's positive. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they're struggling with stuff. But they're playing, they got that component, They go to the tournaments. Their parents get them there. They sign up. They do what they need to do to sacrifice the weekend to go play, which is important. But maybe their training sucks. Like maybe they train in clinics. They don't get any private one-on-one instruction. They just, I had one top girl comes to mind, top girl from New England who I work with. She trains twice a week in a little bubble. No one good to practice with, but she plays a lot of tournaments and gets a decent ranking in the section. You know, maybe she can qualify for nationals like that. But I told her and her mom, I've had this talk literally hundreds of times with parents of many top ranked juniors, lower ranked juniors, kids who want to become ranked juniors. It's just this is my life. And she cannot be a top in the country player unless she has really, really good training to make the tournaments better, to make the performance better on the weekend. And she takes no privates, you know? Ah, Andreas has another question. My son competes a lot. Results are mixed at the national level. We now focus on more fitness and skip some tournaments. So, so you're a parent, obviously. We have lots of parents who watch the show and listen to the podcast. You should not skip tournaments for fitness. You should do both. You need both because fitness is part. Maybe we need to make a square and add the fitness in, but you make a great point because a lot of kids are skipping the fitness, especially I'm from New York City. I coached in New York City for 20 years. Many kids from that area skipping the fitness so that they can go play a tournament or go to tennis practice and they don't have time to do both. You need to do the fitness. But for me, I would put the fitness probably in the training part of the triangle, but now you're messing with my triangle. The fitness is very important. Very important. Make a great point. But you can't skip the tournament part of the triangle for one of the other parts. Like you need, my point of the whole show here is you need this triad. You need all of it. So in the training, the fitness is part of the training. You can't skip it. But I probably should have mentioned that. But you need you need the instruction, the motivation, inspiration. There's no substitute for having a dynamic coach pushing, demanding, inspiring, motivating. Like that is a powerful force, like rocket fuel for your kid. Or if you're an adult, same thing. That dynamic person, if you can find a coach like that, they're hard to find. Very powerful force driving optimal development, junior development or adult development. But you need the other parts. Like if you find a coach like that, man, pay that guy or girl, pay them well and keep them close because that person is huge, vital part of your child's development or if you're a player, your own development. But you got to get the other stuff right because a lot of people say, oh, we found a great coach. So now we're all set. You know, we got the coach. But that's only one of three. You got to travel. A lot of parents don't want to go. You know, it's a pain in the ass to go to tournaments. It's a pain that you lose the whole weekend sometimes. You have to drive 3 hours. I had many parents say to me, well, we can't play that many tournaments. We can't drive. It's too far or blah, blah, blah. But that's the sacrifice you have to make for your kid because you need the competition pillar, that part of the triangle. You need it like a stool with 3 legs. You need that. And you need the training. Like you say, we can only get training Tuesday, Thursday. My son, he plays other sports or he has after school activities or whatever, you fill in the blank. Wrong. If you want to be elite. Wrong if you want to maximize your development. If you want to be good, I'm air quoting. If you want to be okay, if you want to be mediocre, if you want to be average or slightly above average, you can do that. You can do all the after school activities. You can have a very balanced, healthy life, but you can't do that. You can't have that part of the triangle 2 times a week group and maybe a private with the staff pro who's not dynamic and not powerful and expect greatness. You can't say, well, I want to play D1. Like I'm going to make a 12 or 13 UTR down the road with that schedule. You cannot. It's impossible. So like I had a boy here, or this is just recently, but many times, player comes to me and says, I want to play college. Or I want to play pro. And then I'll start going through the triangle with them and I'll just be like, dude, I mean, come on. And I'll have to talk with the parents too. It's just not realistic. Sometimes that's a painful talk. Sometimes it's a wake up call. Sometimes it's a shock. Sometimes sometimes the parent never comes back to talk to me again. Like they don't want to hear that. They want to keep the dream alive, but the dream is not real. My job is to tell you the truth. The truth is you need that triangle, or you can be great. You can't optimize your development. It's impossible. We can't live in a fantasy world where you train twice a week, you play one tournament a month, you take an occasional private lesson, and you're going to play D1 college. It's not doesn't compute. It's mathematical, doesn't add up. So you play 6 days a week, sometimes 7, or at least 5. You play a tournament 2-3 times a month. You get elite one-on-one coaching with a coach who's dynamic, powerful, proven track record, inspirational. If you get those things, you do your fitness, magic can start to happen. There's like an alchemy. Magic can start to happen when you start getting that, and then you start doing that week in and week out with the regularity and consistency, which is another thing that I talk about all the time with parents and players and coaches, is a regularity. Regularity is more important than talent. It is one of the greatest talents, to be consistent. So you get the training right, you get the triangle right, and then you implement it. You can periodize your plan, but basically you get that plan in place so you can have some ebbs and flows, and you can periodize the training, whether you do like a linear periodization or an undulating periodization. You can periodize the training, set up some peak times of the year and some back off a little bit in the intensity of the training, different times of the year. But basically, you need every week, like clockwork, regularity, and that leads to greatness. Consistency, day in and day out, leads to greatness. That means don't skip days when you're sick. Don't skip days for holiday. Don't skip tournaments, training, coaching for whatever reason you come up with. No excuses. You show up, you do your work, and over time, it leads to greatness. It leads to optimized development. And the kids who are always missing days, always absent, always, I had to go to the dentist. I had a cold, so I can't come to train. It was a snowstorm, I couldn't get there. My car broke down, whatever. You see what I'm saying? The kids where that stuff's happening, where there's no organization, those kids underperform. Always underperform. Doesn't matter how talented they are. So I'm just talking about like structure and organization. And for me, this is way more important than any tip I could give about technique. I have an Instagram account where we try to give world-class tennis instructional tips. I have a YouTube channel that you guys know is great. We're upping our content, providing world-class technical instruction and things like that. We're making really high quality videos now. But that stuff doesn't matter unless you have the structure. You have like all these adults scouring YouTube to get advice, but it doesn't make a difference if you don't have the structure that I'm talking about. I have adults who come to work with me, like really serious adults. First thing I ask, they want me to fix something. I say, well, how often do you have to train? Are you competing? How often can you get to have a lesson? That triangle is forefront in my mind all the time. And I think it should be forefront in your mind. If you're a parent, if you're a coach, you can't be a serious high performance coach and be working on technique or tactics without addressing the bigger picture of the things that I'm talking about, the structural elements that are like super, super critical to supercharge your kids, your players' game. So if you have any questions about that, this is going to be a little shorter show. Sometimes we do an hour, sometimes do a half an hour. Have you guys been enjoying the sports science reviews? I've been mixing up the show with some sports science reviews. They're really cool. Check them out if you haven't. We always talk on this show about junior development, technique, and biomechanics, things that I love. The show's about things that I love. Sports science, exercise science as it relates to tennis, And of course, Spanish tennis, because I wrote the book on Spanish tennis, The Secrets of Spanish Tennis. By the way, Secrets of Spanish Tennis 2.0 is coming out tomorrow to bookstores, although there might be a slight delivery delay, but like it's very exciting. My publisher says it's available for order on Amazon tomorrow. So I just, a quick plug there. I'm very, very excited. Many late nights and early mornings getting that book ready. Anyway, so you guys, follow me with the triangle. Andreas said fitness, so he got me. I'm put fitness in the, I'm going to keep the triangle. I'm putting fitness in the training. That's your training. Got to get all that. You need the dynamic guru of a coach usually. Sometimes a parent can play that role. If you have limited funds, let's talk about money. Talk about funds. So, because probably if you're watching this, if you're not super rich, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, how do I do that? Like, how do I pay for all that stuff? Because a lot of times the reason why some of that stuff's not in there is because of budget. And that's like a major issue. I don't have a brilliant solution for that. You can, like, there's ways to share training. Like if you want to take a lesson with a really elite coach, you can split a lesson, share the cost. You could take lessons once a month. You could, you can try to make a really great lesson happen for your kid if you try some of those things. For example, maybe you can only see a great coach once every month or every 6 weeks. Believe me, that's better than nothing. And it's much better. For example, I love this one. I have many parents who they don't want to take a lesson with me to save money, but they'll buy a 10-pack with some staff pro out of college who knows nothing, has no track record, no experience, and they think they're saving money, which is completely incorrect. Because as Benjamin Franklin said, penny wise, pound foolish. You're saving pennies now, but you're going to pay in the end. So I like to say to parents, my lesson's actually not expensive. When you add up in the long run, you take fewer lessons with me and you'll get better results. But a lot of people don't see it that way. A lot of parents don't see it. They just see the initial amount and they say, I'm going to save money by taking more lessons with someone who's less experienced, less knowledgeable, less dynamic, less inspirational, less motivating, things like that. In my opinion, I think it's a big mistake. And I practice what I preach. I have 4 kids, and I will seek out, my daughter's a wrestler, my son is a runner, and I will seek out the best coaches for them that I can find. And I'm happy to pay them more than an average coach. I don't complain. And I don't say, no, you're not worth it. Or I don't try to save money by working with the assistant coach or someone less experienced. I want the best possible guidance for my kids. So I really believe in that strongly, and I believe in it for tennis players as well. I believe in it as a parent, and I believe in it as a coach. So I think that's a common mistake. Share a lesson. Take a semi-private. Come bi-weekly. Come once a month. But keep that relationship, because the coach can make a dramatic difference in a player's development. A coach can supercharge a player's development. In the same way, bad coaching can tank a player's development. You could be training good, tournaments, and get a really bad coach or a coach who's negative or teaching the wrong stuff, focusing on the wrong thing, and that can submarine a player's development just like that. So I'm a big believer in finding high quality coaching. Training, that's really hard. It costs a lot of money to train, especially in the Northeast here. You have to pay, groups are expensive. Maybe you don't need a group. A lot of times you can pay a college kid 20, 30 bucks and you can get better one-on-one hitting than paying for an expensive group. So I'm not really bullish on groups. I try to steer my clients away from groups. If you want to do a group, that's okay, but usually they can be expensive and sometimes the quality is not so great. One-on-one, you could save money. You can try, if you're a parent, if you can play with your kid. You can help to coach your kid. If you're a parent, I would recommend getting involved with your kid. A lot of the top kids that I've coached, some of the best kids in the country, their parents were out there tossing balls to their kid. helping them learn stuff, reinforcing what they learned in the lessons with me. That's very common. Like the parent can get involved and fill in some of that time if you're not too busy. You know, you can try to do a lot of self-practice. You can get a ball machine. You can go to a public park court. You can try to get court time earlier or later in the day when it's off prime. There's ways to save money with training, but you need regular training. You can't develop a champion 2 days a week. You just can't. And the tournaments are usually, they can be expensive, but you can play a lot of tournaments on a budget. You can save money in hotel. You can save money in commuting, depending on how far away you get it. Usually you can drive to most tournaments. I would probably avoid national tournaments. They're really expensive to go to national tournaments. I would play a lot of local tournaments. I would play tournaments with lower entry fees. And sometimes, and I've had many parents on a budget who use the tournaments, sometimes 2 tournaments a week, to save money on practice. Like they use a tournament entry as basically like 1 or 2 days of practice for $100 or $60 or $125, whatever it is. It's like a cheap way to get practice. It's not ideal, but sometimes if you're really strapped for cash, you got to use the tournament as like inexpensive hitting, So, but you got to try to make it all work. I know it's really hard. Not everyone's a millionaire. Unfortunately, tennis is a little bit rigged because if you are a millionaire, you can afford all this stuff and you can get it right for your kid or for yourself. But if you're on a budget, you have to try. And I've just spoken with so many families who they're not like millionaires, but they're getting a lot of these things wrong, and they're not sacrificing in the way they need to get all 3 of those components, and their kids are just not going to underperform. Even the really talented ones are going to underperform. And you just have to try. You have to do it the best you can with the budget that you have, and you have to try to make it work as best you can, whether that's playing outside when it's really cold, bundling up in layers and playing on public parks. You got to get your court time every day, playing in the rain, playing off-peak, non-prime court time, late at night, early in the morning, making deals with coaches and programs, things. You've got to get your daily training. And like I said, it's a drug. It's the best addiction you can have, the tennis addiction. You got to get on the court, striking balls, feeling the ball on your strings, hearing the sounds, watching the ball coming. You got to get that feeling every day, almost every day, to become a real champion and optimize your development. If you're not doing that, you're always going to see underperformance. You're going to have a frustrated kid, a frustrated player, probably a frustrated parent. So it can go on and on and on, but you guys are kind of getting the idea. Get that structure right. If the structure is good, the structural components are good. The organization is good. Usually the player is going to be feeling good, playing good. Parents are going to be happier, et cetera, et cetera. The results are going to be good. The UTR is going to be going up. The WTN is going to be going down. And the ranking is going to be going up. That's all positive, those positive trends. But 99 times out of 100, when a player comes to me and the UTR is stagnating, WTN stagnant, ranking stuck, player is unhappy, parents are frustrated. When that happens, okay, quick question. 2 kids, 6 years old and twins, they keep the ball in play. Sorry, the comment went a bit too fast. Yo, send me that. I can answer it later, or send me to my WhatsApp, 914-462-2912. I'll be happy to help you on my WhatsApp. If you're a parent, if you have a junior, if you're a player, adult or junior, it doesn't matter. I help a lot of people, usually for free, right off my WhatsApp. If you want like professional consultation, you can pay me. But I actually work with parents all over the world on my WhatsApp, 914-462-2912. That's my personal WhatsApp. I answer personally. I got to go. It's a really interesting show for me. It's something I'm very passionate about, structure, because everyone comes to me and they want the secret. They want the secret solution. They want me to fix something, but I can't fix. I am not a magician. I cannot fix it unless you have the building blocks in place. Once the building blocks are in place, I can start fixing things. I can do my magic, and we can have greatness, optimal player development. Guys, enjoyed the show. Send me any questions. Comment if you have any questions. You can do it in the comment section or send me personally. I will see you guys on the next program. We'll probably be doing another sports science review soon. God bless. I'll see you next time. Thank you.